ready for a day's racing.
Totally, by my reckoning, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, and if we're both wrong, somebody will definitely correct us. I don't remember having an LCQ ever at a British Championship. We've had qualifying and stuff like that, but but never an actual LCQ race to determine the final spots on the line.
No, I seem to recall that obviously we used to do. There was always a repechage for the support classes when it was a full British Championship, and the 250 and 125 ran separately. But yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
But somebody out there in. Somewhere there out in Motul land will ping Jeff or myself and tell us that we are right or wrong. But going back to our LCQ results then, and it was a win for the 133 of Tom Canille, the man from Lille in France. He took victory from the number 4 Works scaffolding triumph of George Hopkins. Then it was the 28 of Charlie Griffiths, and holding on by the skin of his teeth, number 20 Calum Meara, who just held off the hard-charging 544 of Ollie Bubb by just a few bike lengths at the end. But it was a cracking race to get the blood pumping first thing this morning. So those are the guys that made it in through the LCQ. But our qualifiers then, 2 groups split into 18 this morning. And obviously the way that it works, they do a ballot on Saturday to see who goes into what group. And the fastest 18 from each of those groups go through. It's not the fastest 36 riders out of the 2 groups, because obviously track conditions for the second group of riders is considerably worse than it was for the first group. So for fairness then, the way that it's always done, you qualify per group. Fastest 18 out of each group were in Group 1 was Bobby Bruce. He took pole position in that one from Maxi Werner, number 594, and Charlie Heyman, with Ben Mustoe 4th, the 456 of Ollie Colmer 5th, and Jake Nicholls 6th. And in Group 2 we saw Gyan Doensen on the Gabriel SS24 KTM go fastest from the 441 Dirt Store Triumph of Billy Askew, with 100 of Tommy Searle there in 3rd on the Dirt Store Triumph, and the SAS TPC KTM of the Frenchman of Florian Mio in 4th. 5th was Josh Vail on the Phoenix Racing Fantic, and 6th Glenn McCormick on the Chambers Racing Husqvarna. Now I would expect that we will see Bobby Bruce go to the line pole as he was fastest in Group 1, followed by Doensen, etc, etc. So there
you go.
I'll look at that, and there's
right
the graphic.
So what I love about this,
any surprises there, Jeff?
Not really for me. No, I mean Josh Vail a little bit, just because he's been to make the top 10 when I'm saying he's not capable of making top 10, but he had a pre-season injury, or late pre-season injury.
Yeah.
So so he's been off the bike a little bit. So actually, fair play to him for breaking the top 10.
Yeah.
But no real surprises is what you expect. I mean, Bobby is a super talented rider, hasn't really hit the ground running with the MX250 yet, but that's not to say. I was talking to him earlier, and he said, look, I'm going to ignore the noise. It's all about rehabilitation for me. He wants to, he doesn't want to, he had an injury.
He did have an injury, and once you lose a season at the age that he is, it makes a big difference. So there's the qualifiers back up again. So let's say, any surprises? Good qualification from Charlie Heyman then. On the
See, that doesn't surprise me with Charlie, because I think he's had a couple of years now to, we all know his talent. He was prolific in youth motocross. Again, finding his way a little bit. You heard Conrad say that last night at the Michelin Youth Academy. How it's brutal. Like it's high end sport now. They're at the high level, and the mental approach you have to have. You can be talented, but if you're doubting self belief, all those little things, and it's hard at the top. Simple as that.
Only showing 25 on there, but it is a full grid of 40. Obviously, the times combined from the 2 groups. Then we just got to get our graphic to mash all of those to get the full list, because we had a few guys from the LCQ. But it's going to be a full gate drop, and I'm really looking forward to it. We've just had a fantastic RFX 125 class race, which was a great battle there, and for me, this has got the potential to be the class of the year, because in MX1, you've got 2 or 3 guys who have got the potential to win, but I think there's 10 guys in there who think they can steal a moto win.
Absolutely, and what I like about it is, if we are going to get every round, we're going to get more than the 40 riders, so we have to split the groups of qualifying. It makes it feel a little bit like a GPs used to be, and I love the fact that we actually don't see them pitted together until the gate drop, because we've had 2 groups. So look, Bobby topped his group, but so far he hasn't been up against like Doensen or Askew. No, and now we're going to get to see, because we didn't see it in qualifying, is the point I'm making.
No, so again, bit of a different stuff. There'll be a lot of guys who've never had to go through this, have got to get a head around it. There was people out there who were just, oh great, I've qualified, and you're like, well, there was never really going to be a time that you weren't going to qualify, but they've still got the relief of, oh well, at least I'm in. And then you go, oh, but I'm only whatever in my group, and then you'll be like, oh, I'm 14th in my group. Well, that's 28th to the gate.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, I'm in, and then you're like, oh, I'm not in the top 10, I'm going to get a really bad gate pick.
Exactly. That's the bit I like.
You still don't know where you stack up until the gate drops.
Look, I appreciate everybody watching. Of course, it's round one. We have, inevitably in our sport, as the series goes on, some people drop out for injuries. It's part and parcel of our sport. It's how it is. But for round one, to make sure that we've got 2 qualifying groups, the new format, so we're not just taking 40 registered riders. We can take 60 per round. And as I've mentioned before, if you're an expert rider and we're coming to town, we obviously got a round up in Duns in Scotland, so any Scottish riders that don't race the British Championship.
There's a lot of them down here,
but there's more, and that's the point. And I just want to give a shout out actually to Johnny Hamilton and everybody up there with the Scottish Championship, doing great stuff with that, by the way.
That's gathering pace as well, and that's great to see.
So big up to Johnny and his team up there. Yeah, and it's just fantastic that we're actually going to have, hopefully, as we go to every round, pretty much full lineups. I mean, Kevin, who does a lot of the entries, was telling me, we've had a few people that have just kind of for whatever reason dropped out, but the registrations are good, and hopefully, come and get a ride, get some exposure, live stream exposure. One more time, want to give a big shout out to Dirt Store for getting behind the live stream as title sponsor. We couldn't do it without them, so thanks to them. Obviously, Motul as the series partner as well, lead sponsor. But we're going to go through a bunch of... there's so many brand partners that we're going to mention throughout the day, but thanks to everybody.
Let's mention the Jude Morris Foundation then, because we've also, in this one, we've got the Jude Morris Foundation, the Jude Morris Under 21 Championship. So there's a separate series for riders under 21 that are in this race, and we have got a lot of them, and I will quickly list them off. We've got the number 4 of George Hopkins, we've got 5 of Liam Bennett, 7 of Chester Hyde, the 14 of Harrison Greenoff, the 19th of Sid Putnam, although I'm not sure whether Sid made the cut. Then we've got Josh Bassett, Ezra Blackwell, Sonny Rooney, Rafe Broadley, Jake Walker, Tyler Hooley, the Frenchman Tom Keneal, Ben Mustoe, still at school, well under 21, Jaden Jones, Tyler Westcott, James Barker, Joe Brooks, Bailey Sutton, Charlie Heyman, Billy Askew, Ollie Colmer, Max Harris, Jox Vail, Maxie Werner, again, he's still a youngster.
Yeah.
He's in there. We'll shout out to Stephen Clark, he's the vet of the class along with Tommy Searle.
Yeah, he's not in it.
Tommy Searle, a previous winner of the Under 21 Championship.
Of course, yeah.
Mackenzie Marshall, did not see him out there this morning, but I'll try and find him in qualifying. He's in there. Gyan Doensen, Freddie Bartlett, Jake Rackham, Joel Fisher, Jack Davis, Lewis Proud and Lennox Dickinson. That is 33, I think, guys that are eligible for the Jude Morris Foundation Under 21 Championship.
Yeah, there's a fair few. I think Oliver Davis is another one that was a bit of a late entry, but more than enough of them. And of course, like you said, there's some heritage with that. Some great riders have won the Under 21 Championship.
Doensen nearly going down on the gate there. He's put his foot in a big hole. Now he's gone next to the doghouse. So I didn't see who went up the far end, Jeff. The Chambers KTM there of Glenn McCormick and the 337. He's down this end as well. Of
course, team manager for Doensen there. You've got Sean Simpson with a wealth of experience. Not just from Sean himself. You think of all the experience that Sean got from his father Willie racing Hawkstone. I mean, there is a lot of experience for those two riders to fall back on.
Definitely, and obviously they came into the Hawkstone International pretty unprepared. Those guys were banging out laps in Spain on the hard pack, because obviously for the first 4 or 5 GPs of the season, that's what those guys were going to need to be racing. You don't need to teach these guys. These guys, Maxie Werner and Doensen, they don't need to learn sand. They know sand. They've grown up in the sand. But getting them the hard pack training that they need was their winter priority. And they struggled at the first round at Hawkstone. So it will be interesting to see how they go. He was obviously fastest in Group 2, was Gyan Doensen. He was the only guy in the 12s. And he was just over a second slower than Bobby Bruce was on pole in Group 1. So about a second to a second and a half difference between Group 1 and Group 2, which is kind of what you would expect to find. but the track nowhere near as cut up as we would expect it to be across 2 sessions under what we consider to be normal Hawkstone conditions. As the number 4 comes to the line, he's the man who took victory in the LCQ. He's joined there by the number 28 of Charlie Griffiths, and then it will be Tom Keneal, and the final rider to the grid will be the number 20 of Calum Meara, the man from Northern Ireland. I've got his vitals in here. He's from Mooney's, sponsored by Mooney's. So here we are then, 15-second board ready to go up, and our first MX2 action of the weekend is here. 5-second board, away they go.
Gosh, cameraman getting absolutely roosted.
Or who's that from the outside? Looked like a green bike that took the whole shot. Somebody's gone down in turn 1.
Well, it was Bobby Bruce that's pulled the holy, but he definitely collided with somebody who went into the bank there. We got no idea who that is.
That was a big move, and I'm not sure whether the rider went down as he hit the bank or he lost the front on the marbles. That's McCormick there in about 5th or 6th. So that's Mustoe there in second, going for the lead by the looks of it on the 153. So Mustoe there in second. Is that Tommy Searle in third?
Tommy in third. Oh, legs akimbo as he comes out of the corner. Can't rule out Tommy Searle. You just can't. I know he keeps saying about like he's winding it down. This could be his last year. He's an out-and-out racer. He will not want to just roll over in this what could be his final year of racing.
I think this is about his 4th final year.
Yeah, I know. It's the long goodbye.
It is the long. But look, we love having him here, and it gives this class credibility. These guys know that Tommy Searle was a man that 4-time second in the World Championship. He still knows what he's doing. But here's our race leader then, Bobby Bruce, for the first time over the big tabletop on the bike at Dixon Kawasaki. And is that Searle still in second? Mustoe there in third.
Yeah, Searle up to second. Then it's Mustoe. But Bobby will want... every rider in this class will want to win it. But Bobby could really do with a race win here.
So Planet Moto first lap winner then is Bobby Bruce, then from Tommy Searle, Ben Mustoe, Doensen. So it wasn't Doensen went down, and Glenn McCormack. So I'm wondering if it may have been Werner. Werner is the one that's dropping down the leaderboard. Yeah, so there's our Planet Moto first lap leader graphic. So 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 for those guys then in that competition in MX2. But it is Bruce that leads on the Kawasaki. Steve Dixon will be pretty happy with that, I would say.
Yeah, I was talking to Ross Burridge from the head honcho regards of the racing programme for Kawasaki UK. He was waxing lyrical this morning. It just said how good the venue looked, how he felt it's glad to be back racing outdoors, and he was really optimistic about the season ahead, but not just for Kawasaki but for the sport in general. So that was good to hear.
So having a look further down the leaderboard, Ollie Colmer, the 456, he's there in 11th as the rest of the field stream through. But it is Bobby Bruce then that leads through, back through that hairpin, quite deep, that rut. 1.7 across the line, that's a decent lead to pull out in what is basically 3/4 of a lap for this first circuit.
It's funny little things, okay, that might make a difference to a rider's psyche. One of them being, I see that Bobby has reverted back to his original race number as a youth rider.
79. Is that where he came from?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's going to... just little things like that can sometimes add to that little confidence booster.
All that kind of thing, superstitions and all that kind of stuff. It's you never think it makes a difference, but if it makes a difference to you, then it makes a difference. But here he is then. Is he going to jump into there? He flies in. So there's Searle then, number 100 on the dirt store Triumph. He flies in, and then it should be Mustoe in third, followed by the number 574, the Gabriel SS24 KTM of Gyan Doensen, the youngster from Holland, then making his good British Championship debut. His first moto, isn't it?
It's got to be, yeah. Good ride from McCormick.
Josh Vail there in 6th, recovering from a broken collarbone at the Hawkstone International, so that's a good start for him. Heyman 7th. Stevie Clark, my fellow 5'11 wearer, he's there in he was there in 8th. Liam Garland, a great 9th for him, and Gav Stevenson, the veteran there, he was in 10th.
Good to see him back. Basically, the guys in there running in the top 10 like that. Like I said, Vail, McCormick, Garland, but it's nice to see Liam back. A lot of us in British motocross know the story. He's always been blindingly fast. He's had it's fair to say, more than one too many injuries in his career. So Liam will be hoping to just get a solid season together. And of course, they put together a new team over there.
They have indeed, and I enjoyed their hospitality a little yesterday evening with his dad Dave. So that was all, really just a nice little team. Liam Knight also coming back from what would be, a really, really serious injury that kept him out for a long while. So both of those riders then,
they're riding for the SRE Services Fuel team, so good, give them an honourable name check. It's always good when you get new teams coming back in. Not new, loads of experience.
Mustoe just went down in the background there, so our third place rider just tipped over, buried the front in that hairpin. Jeff tried to cut across there, but still just as he came out the corner, Mustoe just went in. He didn't throw it into the corner, but he just washed out on him mid-turn, so he will have gone down. Doensen will now be up to third.
Yeah, it's just going to move everybody up. The point is, how quick did Ben Mustoe get up? How many positions is he going to lose there? We're quite early in this race, so if he wasn't up like a scene from Rocky 3 or 4 straight away...
I'd like to think he would still be in the top 10,
yeah.
But we'll have to see as Tommy jumps his way down the back on that Dirt Store Triumph.
We've got big wave yellows, so somebody's taken a digger here in the sand pit, trying to recognise who that is. We can't quite see the number on their back. Looks like 419 to me, but that's too far away. Look like a number in the 400s anyway.
Okay, well, our marshal's doing a great job as always there, slowing them down, so everybody wheels on the ground through there with the first aid flag. But here comes our race leader.
There we go. Oh no, it's Jake Walker is one of them, number 99. I can see that was Jake. He stood up. Can't see the other right. It's a KTM that he's collided with in there, but we can't see. I'm trying to read that number upside down. It's not the bike, the stricken bike there. They need to clear that bike as well, which they were just going to do. But anyway, we'll leave that to the experts.
Right, Tommy then up the hill, and he's chasing after Bobby Bruce there. Gap was 3.5 seconds as they went across the line. Then it's Doensen. Charlie Heyman now up to 4th on the SC Sport Hose Husqvarna. Mustoe, has Mustoe come across the line in 5th? Let's wait. Yeah, he has. Mustoe didn't lose that much time, Jeff. So he's still there in front of Glenn McCormick. But the wily veteran Tommy Searle, I'd say 4-time second in the World Championship. He was... When you think of the guys that he had to race against, Antonio Cairoli, then when Cairoli moved up, Herlings came. The only person that you can say had it probably as bad as him was Kurt Nicholls, but of the modern era, Tommy Searle,
exactly,
one of the legends.
You can absolutely say that, and I know people say, well, it's like that every year. Sometimes it's not. Every so often there's an exception talent pool that comes through. Bit like the tennis with Murray's era. You know, if you'd have got rid of like those other Murray would have won way more championships, and that's where Tommy was at. You know, he's done us proud. He has hands down been Britain's top rider for the last decade or more. So, well, not so much anymore, but certainly that era.
But at the Nations, no matter how his season had gone, you could always count on him for a result. We followed him all over the world and enjoyed what he's put on the track for us, and got us on the podium more than once. And to see him out here, giving these guys a run for their money, and giving these guys something to fire at, and setting the level of the championship. We'll just try and look for see if I can see Jake Nicholls in there anywhere. He's not currently showing in the top 20, so not quite sure what's happened to Jake.
Oh, that might... well, no, I'm not going to call it, because I was trying to identify who else had crashed in the sand pit there.
But it looks like everybody's up, Jeff, so that's all good. And the race could continue. But Bobby Bruce then still away on the number 79, Dixon Kawasaki. He's got, looks like a 3.5 second lead from Tommy Searle, who's got 3.5 seconds on Doensen. But this is the battle. So this is Charlie Heyman. We stick with this battle then between Doensen and Charlie Heyman. This is the battle for the lower leaderboard positions for 4th and 3rd and 4th. And Charlie Heyman then on a bit of a wriggle. Ben Mustoe will be in behind those guys as well. There he is in the background on the 163 Ace United Gas. So the youngster is he's from Gloucestershire. He's recovered well from that early race crash, and he's kind of my dark horse for certainly a championship podium, Jeff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I just think, thinking about how Sean's mindset as a team manager, what he'd expect from Doensen in this first outing or whatever. I think he'd be quite happy, like if it, to walk away, podium, top 3, top 5, build on it. New track. I mean, I know he raced here at the International, but like we said, in completely different conditions. So, he's going to have, like any time, they're quality riders, but he's going to have to get to learn the tracks as we go along, because they're all new to him.
They are all new to him, yeah. And Mustoe is right there, a bit of a gap then back to Glenn McCormack. on the 337 Chambers KTM. Then it's Josh Vail on the Phoenix Tools Fantic. The guys from down there in Newton Abbott switching manufacturers this year, and they're on the Fantic. So, and again, good to see Josh Vail. He's a guy that was a big fish in that 125 field last year, and he's moved up to 250s and got hurt straight away. But he's recovered really well from a broken collarbone, and to be in the top 10 in this one first time out, that's got to be that's setting the bar for him for the rest of the season as we look at the number 422 of Charlie Heyman.
As good as he's talented, obviously Josh Vail I'm talking about as well, what he has got is a lot of grit. That was quite evident when he really stepped it up in the 85 class, got himself fit. He won't mind me saying this, neither of his parents, because I spoke to him about it. He was, he was a little bit chunky, a bit around the edges as a young kid. Then one year we went away in the off season, he came back, it's like, God, the kid's got himself together.
He's got himself lean and mean.
Yeah, and he's a grafter, no doubt about it.
So stationary yellow into there now. They still do that. So there's Bobby Bruce then over the tabletop, and he's had an up and down few years, Bobby Bruce, and I think he'll be enjoying leading this one away. This is just what he needed to get his season off to a start. I know he had some issues at the first GP that they did of the year in Spain, I think it was. So he'll be very, very happy to be at the front of this one. There comes Searle across the line, and the gap just starting to eke out a little bit. A double check on the times if they're still.
I'm not getting any joy.
Again? Okay, well we'll have to see as we wait for them. So that's. So
I have joy.
All right, there's Searle going up the hill. So there's Searle, and then third place is Doensen.
So we've also got the Phoenix Tool fastest lap of the race award. Currently, as you'd expect, Bobby Bruce has got that quickest time. I think he posted that on lap 2. So Bobby Bruce is currently, of course, that can be bettered as we go throughout the race. Whoever sets the quickest time going to get some support there from Phoenix Tools, and I think a little bit of money's up for grabs. So shout out to Barry for getting behind that concept.
Yeah, there's also some privateer awards that's going on as well. So all of the riders who don't score, or who don't pick up like legit top 15 up top 20 prize money in their cast will all be getting a little bit of prize money. And there we are, the Phoenix Tools Power Buddy Fastest Lap Award. Nice graphic pinging itself up there. So at the moment that is going the way of Bobby Bruce. We'll get our race results back from the RFX 125 Championship, Jeff, to find out who took the results, who took the fastest lap in that one. And let's not forget, as a bit of a, what's the word? A bit of a taste, a bit of a change in the rules, I suppose you'd call it. The gate for race 2 is set from the race lap times of race 1.
Lap times. That is the point here. I don't think we've ever done that. It's a new concept. In AMA Motocross, they do it on your first race position. So even if you qualified first, but you had a shocking first moto, you go to the line where you finished. But we're actually doing it on times. So it encourages riders, even if they had a shocker and they think they're going to pull out of the race, get out there, put a lap in, because that's going to give you a better gate pick for the second moto. So
if you've got the lifetime up there, can you have a look and see where the second of our SS24 Gabriel KTMs is? Because if that was Maxi Werner that went down in the first
sure
turn,
it was.
Is he still circulating, or did he?
Jake Nicholls, by the way, is down in 30th.
Right. Okay. So he may well have got caught up in that, but again, those guys
he's showing 39th and 5 laps down, so he's gone out of the race.
So he's out of the race then, so not a great start for Max Werner.
I think it was Max that could have, I think I'm going to call it, I might be wrong, we couldn't quite see the rider's number on the bike, but I think that might be Max that was also then in that incident in the sandpit.
Alright, well we'll have to have a look, and we'll try and get some news on that. But the race as it stands at the minute, time is just updated there, Jeff, so Bobby Bruce then starting to eke out a little bit more over Tommy Searle, but Charlie Heyman only a second behind Gyan Doensen. So as we get to mid-distance then, coming towards, we're just going to take a short break to thank our sponsors, and we will be right back after this. The back then, still Ollie Bruce. Showing good form. So we're back then, back Bobby Bruce then, still at the front of the field, and had a bit of a dabble on a 450, Jeff, at the end of last season, and looked good on it, to be fair, better than I thought he would. But back on a 250, and I think that where he is in his career at the moment, he needs to be... the 450 is something that will come to him in time. Yeah,
I think it's just a genuine reset. You know, it didn't quite go to plan, so what do? Do you keep... banging that drum, or do you go away, reanalyse, reassess? Of course, Bobby had those injuries as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, spoke to him this morning. He just wants a nice, solid, consistent series and build momentum. He's not putting expectations on himself early doors. He struggled with that injury, and he just wants to have a healthy rehabilitation year. Basically,
this is closing up at the front, Jeff, because this is the battle between Doensen and Charlie Heyman and Ben Mustoe. They are closing in a little on Tommy Searle as well. So, we can follow this for a few laps. I think that we're going to find that this is going to turn into a 3 or 4 rider battle as they go up the hill. There's Searle, there's Doensen, and just in the background there is Charlie Heyman, and they're not far behind those.
They're all closing.
Is Ben Mustoe. Glenn McCormack is the man that's next across, and obviously that's a big gap for him to bridge. But again, great ride so far for Glenn McCormack on the Chambers Racing KTM.
Yeah, last lap around, Doensen took close to a second out of Tommy Searle. And of course, Tommy, by his own admission, as much as you train and you do what you do with all his experience, you can't beat age, you can't beat time. Your body just naturally starts to slow down. Rehabilitation, he is much older than all these lads. So it gets harder, let's just put it that way. It doesn't get any easier as you get older to keep those fitness levels up.
No, but a great advocate for the Triumph brand, and a great person to have on board that project at this stage in his career, and it will certainly bring on that project. And John Gifford and the guys there over at Dirt Store Triumph will be very, very glad of Tommy's input onto that as we look at Charlie Heyman, a man very much at the other end of the career spectrum, early on in his 250 career, EMX rider as well this year, I think, for Charlie. So again, he's looking at making the step up to MX2 at World Championship level at some point, and he is closing in on the man from the SS24 Gabriel KTM team of Gyan Doensen. That's the factory KTM junior team this year for Sean Simpson, so that's nice for him to get official factory back in, Jeff.
Absolutely. I said we've got some well-supported teams. Yeah, great for, and Sean will do things thoroughly. That's what I like about that. He was very thorough as a rider, and he'll be exactly the same as a team manager. SC Sports Homes as well, Husqvarna team doing good stuff. They, of course, have got into this nice little rhythm of going away and doing some AMA races. They go to Florida in the off-season.
Yes.
So, again, I think that's starting to show. Charlie's had a great off-season out in Florida. And I have to say, not too dissimilar. If you're going to find anywhere in America that's close to Hawkstone Park, regards of ground conditions, plenty of tracks in Florida with similar surface.
Yeah, but Tommy then starting to get closed down. Doensen goes around the outside just trying to find a different line. Getting cheered on then by his mechanic, but it is the 100 of Tommy Searle. Doensen then, just lights the back end up. Heyman there in close attendance. And Mustoe, I'll say hanging on because that makes that. He's after a tumble. He's still there in 5th. I mean, that's where he was right behind Tommy Searle as he tipped over. Yeah. I think that by now he may well have found his way up to 2nd place. But this battle then, 4 seconds. Bobby Bruce, 5 seconds up the track on the Dixon Kawasaki. But this is the race that we want to be seeing, and indeed we are. Here's Doensen.
I noticed as they were going up the famous hill there, they're all making sure that they're just to the side, either side. None of them following, because let me tell you, they are getting roosted. There's some.
Oh yes, there's some big rocks there.
Yeah. They've been exposed obviously down the years as the tracks just waters run down the hill and all the track work. So you don't want to be in the tail roost going up that hill. It hurts.
I've been there. So there's Searle, Doensen closing in. It's definitely tightening up, as you said it would. And this is turning out to be a cracking MX2 race then, Jeff.
Yes, we are currently coming up to 18:51 on the clock, so we're going to start getting into the sharp end of it. There's still plenty of time in this one for stuff to go down and to happen.
And Doensen's had a couple of looks over his shoulder to see who it is bearing down on him, because obviously he won't have raced against a lot of these guys before, so he'll know who they are. I'm well impressed with Mustoe, the man on the AC United Gas, keeping the pace of these boys and he's actually closed down, I think, a little bit on the last lap. It'll be interesting to see what the splits are, Jeff.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to tell you, last lap around. So actually, he was the quickest. Sorry, that was his best. He's been the fastest out of the three of them. Last lap around, though, he did actually lose a little bit to.
Here's a change,
Heyman
Jeff. Here's Doensen around the outside of Tommy into the sand pit. Didn't quite make it. Oh, it's getting tight though. Tommy will know he's there. And he just catches the top of that tabletop, runs wide. Doensen's up the inside.
Well, he definitely knows he's there now because he's right. You can see him out the corner of his eye pretty much.
This is where the looser top surface and harder base just making it a little bit harder for these guys. Normally you can just wick the power on and you're away. Most
are running paddles, I've noticed.
I did see a few guys,
but there's a few not, because it is drier than it certainly would have been earlier in the year.
Doensen there up the hill. I was trying to get out of him what spec that engine was, and they were all a little bit cagey, but it's certainly not a stock KTM.
They're not going to tell you that, are they? Good try though, Phil. Good on you.
I did promise not to tell anybody, but no, they were just saying, look, it's a great bike. KTM are looking after them well, and obviously with the fact that they are the official junior team, they're getting the kit that they should, and I think that's Mustoe looking down the inside of Charlie Heyman there. So the number, the 163 of Ben Mustoe, he was all over. Right down the inside.
This is good stuff, because I tell you what, Bobby Bruce is not that far ahead. He hasn't really checked out like I thought he would. I think he's managing it nicely, but
I think he's just doing, do you know what?
Doing enough.
I can do this for another 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm pretty sure Tommy Searle is hoping that he doesn't have to do it for another 8 minutes, because we've got about 5+2 left to go. And but Tommy will be happy that he can still see Bobby Bruce, and I'll say, and it won't be the first time that we've seen Bruce have a tip off here and there. I'll say that's where Mustoe went down on lap 3, and he's had a really, really good recovery, Jeff.
Yeah, he has. That's a good comeback, because whenever you crash, you just lose that little bit of momentum. Your breathing goes all out of sync, all that stuff. He's had a lot of race time to get back, but still, early doors when the adrenaline's pumping, he's made a nice recovery, Phil.
And these are quality guys that he's chasing down as well. We saw him going really well at the last penultimate round of the British last year before he took a tumble under the bridge, and he's recovered from that. But he's, like I say, still at school. He's doing this, you know, he's racing in the pro ranks, but he's still going to school and doing his exams and stuff. So fair play to him.
He's a gritty rider. Obviously, I got to work with him when we signed him up to Team Green, and that was one of the reasons we signed him up, just because he's a genuine grafter, gritty, never quits on it, just keeps pushing forward, and it's starting to show, obviously.
So it looks like Doensen's chase of Tommy Searle has pulled him away from Charlie Heyman a little bit, and maybe just Heyman falling back into the clutches of Ben Mustoe. But this still has the potential to be a four-rider battle for second place as we get to the closing few laps of this first of our MX2 races here at Hawkstone Park at the Motul MXGB British Championship Round 1.
Yeah. Brought to you by, obviously, the guys at Dirt Store on MXGB-TV. Let's very quickly just give you the top 10. Obviously, you're just getting abbreviated their names on the totem pole there. It's Bobby Bruce leading the way ahead of Tommy Searle, Gyan Doensen there in third. Then it's Charlie Heyman for fourth, Ben Mustoe fifth, Ollie Colmer in sixth, Josh Vail seventh, Glenn McCormick for eighth, ninth Billy Askew, and that's James Barker in 10th.
Good ride for James Barker in 10th, and also a good ride for Ollie Colmer, because he's come from well outside the top 10 to get to 6th. So a good ride for Colmer as our race leader, and that doesn't look like 5 seconds anymore.
No, it doesn't, and that's the point I was making earlier on. It is, let's just see, last lap around.
Mustoe's made the pass on Charlie Heyman as they went up and down the hill, so Heyman back to 5th, Mustoe back to 4th. So the man from Norwich, he's made his way past up into 4th place on the Acer United Gas.
Tommy didn't gain, but he hardly lost anyway. There was only 3 100ths between them that last lap around, so they're kind of setting pretty much similar paces. I think you're right. I think Bobby is acutely aware of everything going on behind him, and I think he has got a little bit in reserve. Should Tommy give it that little push towards the end.
And Mustoe, he's not from Norwich, he's from Cheltenham. I can't read my own writing. No, I just looked at the but that's one, looking at where all these guys travel from every week, you just take it for granted that they're all from not far away, and that's very much not the case. No, that's not a million miles. We've got guys from Newquay and Aberdeen and all sorts of places here this weekend, giving us some top draw action. And to be honest with you, the weather, we've got a decent crowd in as well, Jeff. The track's like well lined. sandpit there area on the other side of the track. That's pretty full. There's Tommy, just clips his way in. Doensen not putting him under pressure. But this is Mustoe, and he's closing in on the Factory Junior KTM rider. I would say probably about a second a lap.
Yeah, he is. This has got to be a brilliant confidence booster for Ben. Particularly, remember, if you're just tuning in, he had a little tipple over at the start of this race, lost a few positions, quite a bit of time, and he has made a great recovery ride.
Charlie Heyman then starting to drop off that battle. So his charge to try and get onto the back of Tommy Searle looks like that's blown out a little bit, but still a good ride as they go up the hill. Doensen has a look over his shoulder, and he will see the AC United gas rider, like you say, going up the opposite side of the hill to avoid the roost. And then, as you can see there, Jeff, it's a sunny day. There's going to be a lot of shadows at the top of that hill and in the trees. Yeah,
that does play havoc with your eyes. I mean, it takes a little while for your eyes to adjust for the best of times, but when you're riding a motocross bike at speed, it all happens pretty quick, and it can mess you up.
A lot of guys now coming right tight down this, what would be left as that we look at it, but right-hand side of the track to that jump. So obviously the lines there have changed, and there is Heyman, the 422.
This is on. I think Ben Mustoe has got the minerals here to get within striking distance and lay one on Doensen. I think, you know, what I'm saying is, even right now, I think he, with a good run on into an open corner, I think he could run it in there. He's just lost a little bit of time back as soon as I say that, commentator's curse, but if he can close the gap to another couple of bike lengths, he's
going to be there. Doensen's definitely going to feel the pressure of the 163 of Ben Mustoe at some point in the closing few laps of this race. That is without a doubt. But here is the man that took a convincing hole shot, and has pretty much, although the lead has dropped down to 4.5 seconds, he's looked in control all the way, Jeff, and this will be a big confidence booster for him.
Absolutely. You know, as we said, he just wants to build and build, get back to where he was. Listen, everybody in British motocross knows that Bobby Bruce can ride a bike, and he has the talent, and he has definitely got MX2 potential. Stepping back down to the EMX 250 to gain a bit of confidence. You know, stick to the 250 all year, the back and forth from 450, 250, that's going to help, and just get a nice solid year under his belt, and then push on for next year. That's, you know, in regards of MX2, that would be the ideal fit for Bobby.
So the yellow flags there as they came over the tabletop under the bridge, and the gap at the front is coming down. Tommy Searle is not out of this yet. They've come across the line.
Last time around, Phil, he took a second 1 point. Yeah, basically took second 0.1 out of Bobby there, so he is pushing him.
And as they go up the hill, that's a lap rider there on the left-hand side, I think, but Mustoe still chasing down Doensen as well, about 1.6 between them. So it was 3.5 seconds last time after across the line when it was 4.5 before. Have we got 2 laps to go?
Yeah, we're on 2 to go.
Two to go, so not long left. Has Tommy Searle got what it takes to run down Bobby Bruce in the last couple of laps of this race? Bruce has a look over his shoulder, and you will know that Tommy Searle's the last person he wants to be seeing. There's Doensen, and there's Mustoe. This is an absolute barn burner.
See what I mean? He just does not. Mustoe's so gritty. He hasn't let go of that.
He's not.
He lost a bit.
There was a back marker in the middle there, Jeff, I think. So it was 5 riders. This is the 422 of Charlie Heyman. But here it is then. In amongst the back markers is Bobby Bruce going to just get held up. So he's managed to put 2 riders between himself and Tommy Searle in coming into what is probably the twistiest part of the circuit. So that's he hasn't got to follow him through that hairpin. He's got a clear line into here. Gets that bike at Dixon Kawasaki out of the turn, and Tommy is.
I think he's responded.
I think
either that or Tommy's made a mistake, but that is definitely opened back out from when they crossed the finish line. Yeah, he's looking. He's hitting his marks. He doesn't look like he's overriding. He certainly looks relaxed at this point. I wouldn't say Bobby's looking flustered by any stretch.
So this is the visual that we got on the last lap that told me that Tommy was closing, and that's gone back out because the next rider coming into shot there. Oh, big mistake though from Bruce, but Tommy's not even into the sandpit yet.
No.
So that's.
In fact, Tommy was rolling into the sandpit, and
was Doensen on the outside
jumping in again. So now Tommy's under pressure from Doensen on this last, as they come into this last lap. I'm pretty certain if we hold this shot, there's Tommy, and that's
Doensen.
Yeah, he's right there. Wow, right. So all of a sudden, when we thought Tommy might be going for the win, he's now defending the second.
Yeah, so Doensen's right there. Ben Mustoe, I think he's done. He's put in a gallant charge to try and run down Doensen, but he's not managed to hold it. But there's your race leader going up the hill. The gap's gone out to 5.5, so Tommy definitely made a mistake. And this is the battle for second coming into shot now. There's a lap rider. There's Tommy and there's Doensen right on him as they go up the hill. Final time then. There's Ben Mustoe in an excellent fourth.
Well, we're going to get them coming down the hill. It's on for second place. This is where
there it is.
Tommy is going to need all of experience. He will be screaming at those back markers in front of him.
So look over the shoulder then from Bruce, but it's the battle for second. There it is. There's Searle. Doensen right there. Look over the shoulder from the back marker. I think Doensen's just dropped off a little bit. Mustoe's still there, Jeff.
Yes, he is. Obviously, he's there to pick up the pieces because, Doensen might run it in on Tommy. They might, there's still half a lap to go and a lot can happen. I'm going to make my way over to the winner's circle where, well, I'm not even going to curse him. I'm just going to get myself over there.
So it is Bobby Bruce then halfway around this final lap with a 5.5 second lead in the first of our MX2 battles here at Hawkstone Park for the first round of the Motul MXGB British Championship. Bruce then over the tabletop. It's the battle in the background that we need to see, and it's Doensen closing in on Tommy Searle. Bruce looking really comfortable. Less than half a lap to go. So a really healthy crowd here this weekend. We wait for the green Kawasaki to jump into the sandpit for the final time. Lower leaderboard, guys, but there is your race leader. He will come across the line. Tommy Searle still there in second. They're closing the gap. Bobby just throttled it down a little bit on the final circuit. Just make sure he makes no mistakes. So look over the shoulder as he comes up and round the final turn to come and take victory in MX2 Race 1 as they come across the line. It is a victory for Bobby Bruce, and as they run to the line, it's going to be Tommy Searle that just hangs on to second place from Gyan Doensen, with Ben Mustoe coming across the line in fourth position. A great ride from the man from Cheltenham. Charlie Heyman will be fifth. Billy Askew climbs to sixth, the 441. He's made a real good charge through the field on the second of the Dirt Store Triumphs. We'll wait for him to come across the line. A drone shot picking up the few riders as they come across the line. Oh, battles all the way down. That was a close one at the end. But MX2 Race 1 then in the books, and we'll wait for Jeff to get in position down in winner's circle, and we will have an interview with our top three, which will be Bobby Bruce on the DRT Kawasaki. There he is, the number 100 Dirt Store Triumph on the number 100, and the 496 of 574 of Gyan Doensen on the SS24 Gabriel KTM. But a brilliant win for Bruce. Was never headed, took the whole shot, but a hard move on what we think was Maxi Werner in turn one, although Werner might just have run wide in the and then he checked out. Werner was a non-finisher. So that's your Dirt Store TV highlights. So Jeff is over there in winner's circle. We'll throw to him, and he will be there to talk to our top three.
But like we said, to come out swinging, you've got to be pleased with that. And obviously the team, after, by your own admission, a bit of a difficult year last year, but looking strong, looking healthy for this year.
Yeah, I think all the pieces are coming together now. The bike feels really good. The team have worked really hard, and so have I. So, yeah, to start off like this, we can't really complain. But now we've got to go and back it up again.
Yeah. Your management was good there. It seemed to be that you had Tommy covered. You knew he was there, right? You had left in the tank to deal with him.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the start was crucial here, so if I could get out front and just put 2 good laps in at the start, I knew that it'd start training up behind, and Tommy's clever, so I knew that them boys weren't going to get past him, and I could manage him well. So, yeah, it was a solid race, just ticking the laps off.
Fair play. They are on the bike at Dixon Kawasaki. Dad's happy, you're happy.
Whoa, Black Betty.